We're here at the Smith Memorial Union with How's Your News Director Arthur Bradford. Gave a presentation on the history of How's Your News and the latest documentary. And we're here with mainstream media reporter Kris Haines, film critic, filmmaker, also food critic. He does a lot for mainstream media. And Kris, I know you've got some questions on the evening, so take it away.
Okay. I suppose we should start at the beginning. How did you get involved with Camp Jabberwocky, which was the genesis of the project? I assume.
Yeah, it was. I was a college student, and I was looking for a summer job, and I had no previous experience in the field, and a friend of mine said they needed counselors at Camp Jabberwocky, so I signed up, and it changed my life forever.
So, what's your process like, particularly in the editing process when you have hours and hours of footage? How do you get the shot?
Yeah, that's probably like the hardest part of filmmaking, is you guys probably know, is like dealing with all of that raw footage. I find that really, like, it's so daunting when so this last film that where we went to the political conventions, I think we had about 40 hours of footage, which isn't even that much for some documentaries, but watching all of that footage is just exhausting to me, and I hate watching the raw footage because there's so much, like, there's so many moments that I missed and I screwed something up, and so I try to just take it really slowly and watch about an hour or two a day, and try not to get too depressed about it. But then I make notes, and then and what I try to do is skip ahead to the good parts and make a little, like, sizzle reel ahead of time to kind of get myself excited. And if I'm working with an editor, that's the best, is if I have an editor who's working with me and can share the load. That's even better. But yeah, that's definitely the hardest part of making documentary film.
When you're in chaotic scenes, like in the heart of the convention, how do you make sure to get the shot you need right there in the moment?
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, I often miss the shot. My favorite way to work is I have a cameraman that I work with. So his job is to focus only on camera, and then I have the second camera. I'm the B camera. He's the A camera. I'm the B camera. So I can concentrate on sort of directing a little bit, and I know that if I don't get the shot, that hopefully he does. But I also know that if I see something that I really want to get that shot of, I can shoot that. But I spend a lot of time trying to, if we're in a really chaotic situation, like on a red carpet or at the political conventions, I'm sort of trying to figure out how to position myself to sort of like intercept the target interviewee person, because a lot of our reporters are small in stature, and I'm a pretty tall guy, so I feel like I have to sort of guide that person over, and I can that's my job, is to guide them and sort of set up the scene and then try to get the shots.
What do you want to do next?
That's a good question. I love making documentary films, so I would love to shoot something here in Portland. I've done a couple music videos here, and I think I would love to actually do a narrative film, but I'm not sure that would be my next project, just because I've done so little of it. Something that I was always interested in was I spent all this time working at this summer camp for people with disabilities, and a friend of mine was working at a youth at risk program, and he brought some of the kids, these are juvenile offenders, over to the camp to visit the camp, and I was really fascinated by the effect that these kids of seeing, like, being in a community of people with disabilities had on these kids, because these kids all feel really sorry for themselves. They've had really tough lives, and they feel like all the breaks, they got dealt the worst hand of cards in the deck. But I think when they see people with disabilities, they realize that that there's people out there overcoming challenges, and that they maybe their lives are not as challenging as they might think, and it can be really inspiring for them, and it can be likewise inspiring for the people with disabilities. They have a lot to teach. That's what if that makes sense. I'd love to somehow explore that world, is how could people with disabilities help youth at risk